Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Taryn and this is Taryn's Business Hub. So today I wanted to speak on what is divine alignment. In my messaging, you'll hear me speak a lot on being in divine alignment with your higher purpose. And I wanted to just briefly speak on the lay terms, the lay meaning of what divine alignment is as you go on in your life journey and also in your business journey. It was essential for me to break this down for people that may not have a spiritual life, but it's something that you are inquisitive about. For people that may not feel good about where they are in their life, being in divine alignment and having some sort of spiritual center, it would definitely elevate your life mentally and also emotionally. And I think that in the society that we're living in, amongst all the chaos, we need something to ground us. Having a sense of spiritual awakening, it will definitely give you a certain strength that you can't find anywhere else. And so that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. So when you hear me speak of divine alignment throughout my videos or in my teachings, in my books, you'll understand what I mean by divine alignment is being in harmony with your higher purpose or with a greater spiritual truth. It's being in harmony with a divine plan, a higher calling, a higher purpose, specifically for you. When I speak about divine alignment, essentially what I'm saying in simplest terms is being in harmony with a higher power. It's understanding that there is a divine purpose specifically for your life, and you are in harmony for what the flow of that plan for your life is being in sync in your actions, in your thoughts, in your behaviors. Everything falls in line with your higher purpose. And you know that you are walking in a sense of partnership with something that's bigger than yourself, that you are in co-creation with something that is greater than yourself. You're tapping into a spiritual force or energy source that's higher than your own natural ability. And so when we talk about, or when you hear me speak about being in divine alignment, this is essentially what I mean. You are able to tap into an inner voice. Some people call it conscious, some people call it God, some people call it intuition, but there's something that's down on the inside of you that is leading you. And you know that inner voice, which I feel is God's voice, you know that inner voice is leading the flow of your life and is part of a grander design for your life. You're not fighting against this energy and you're not working against this energy, but you're working in harmony with this energy. One of the core understandings of being in divine alignment is that you know that your life is part of a grander design, even if sometimes things in your life surpass your immediate understanding. There's a sense of knowing that you are still a part of this larger design for the grand scheme of your higher purpose. And I believe that we're not set to do one specific thing. We're here and we have an evolving purpose. When a child is born, that child's life, as small as it is, even in their infant style stage, that child brings joy to the family. That child is bringing a sense of satisfaction to the mother, a person that always wanted to be a mom. That purpose from that child's life is being fulfilled even when they're born, even before that child is born, even when that child is created. That child is born with a certain DNA attached, and they come into the womb with inherent skill set. And then as that child's life develops in stages, if they're a musician, a child musician, they're able to fulfill a purpose of giving entertainment, fulfill a purpose of service even as a child. And then that skill set is developed. And then they go on and we have evolving purposes as we mature in life. When you come into the understanding of divine alignment, you come into the understanding that your life, whether it's setbacks or whether it's triumphs, that your life has an evolving purpose and that you are intentionally in co-creation as a divine architect with God. I was watching a video of this renowned leader that speaks about manifestation, and she said everything is spiritual. And then I wind up hearing someone else on another video. I heard him say everything is spiritual. And I came into the understanding that it is true. Everything is spiritual. Everything has a spiritual foundation, a spiritual essence to it. Intellectually, materially, emotionally, you recognize the interconnectedness of life. And you understand that what materializes physically, it starts on a spiritual foundation. You understand that what happens on a financial level is influenced by a spiritual process, spiritual laws and energies that take place. Everything happens on a spiritual level first, and then it materializes through our earthly presence. And there's no denying that if we can find clarity spiritually at the core level, as we go out, even in our business, we'll be happier entrepreneurs. We'll be able to give ourselves in a different light, and you'll be able to find your own identity. And that's the thing. People will try to place an identity on you if you're not firm enough. But when you're walking in who you are, in the calling that's on your life, and in the purpose that's on your life, nobody can jar you from who you're destined to be. Nobody can strip you from your identity, and you don't need external validation for that. There are signs that will show you that you are in divine alignment, that you are right where you need to be. Even in the midst of adversity, you feel empowered. You know that you are in divine alignment when doors begin to open for you that you know otherwise you wouldn't be able to open for yourself. People begin to attract themselves to you. The right opportunities begin to align themselves to you, and they push you towards your higher purpose. They push you to the goals that are designated for your life. The aim of divine alignment is so that you can fulfill all of your purpose while you're here on earth. Someone once asked me, if you died today, would you feel like you died accomplished? You've done real estate, you've done music, you've helped so many people, you've spoken so many different places. Do you feel like you're successful? I told this person, I feel like I've made successes, but I don't feel like I've achieved what I'm supposed to on this planet. Not yet. And there's a renowned preacher, I heard him say, when you die, you want to die empty. You want to die fulfilling everything that you were called to fulfill on this earth. I couldn't articulate it at that point when I was talking to the individual that I was talking to, but that's the point that I was trying to make, that when I die, I want to die empty. And so I have so much still to do and conquer on this planet. And while I'm here, I want to make sure that I'm in alignment to fulfill the expansive vision that's over my life, to create the legacy that I'm called to create, to talk about the relationship between me and my dad, to empower men to have relationships with their daughters, to bring out the light of the role of fathers and how you being a present father, a present dad in your daughter's life, how that can just completely change the parameters of her life. People need to hear about the special relationship of a parent and a child, the way me and my dad had. And so there's other things that I'm called to do, and I want to be able to live out the fulfillment of my life. And I want that for you too. When you are in divine alignment, you understand that any challenges that come your way, there is growth on the other side. You can look at it and say, there are some people that live a raggedy life, they're not doing the things they're supposed to, and here I am anchored, I'm doing the inner work, and I feel like me and that person would still end up with the same results. But not really, because you're anchoring yourself in a certain sense of clarity. You're anchoring yourself in a certain sense of peace. You're anchoring yourself in a sense of certainty. You're not looking over your back. You have peace within your soul. You're not coming out defeated. You're coming out empowered in your struggles. You feel connected to your purpose, even in the midst of adversity. The reward is a sense of peace. And for anyone that may be struggling right now, and things are difficult, you're experiencing hardships, you want certain things for yourself, you want certain things for your family, just understand that things may be hard, but hard doesn't mean hopeless. You can still have peace, even in the midst of your struggles. You can still anchor yourself and understand that there is something greater inside of you that can lead you out of that situation and help you find clarity and maintain a sense of joy even in the midst of your pain. One of the things that I wanted to clarify is that divine alignment does not negate pain. Divine alignment does not remove the absence of struggles. But what being in alignment does do, it anchors you. It anchors you beyond what this world can give you. There's a term that I use called necessary disruptions. And in these necessary disruptions, things that happen in our life that disrupts our life, that can bring chaos. There are people that come into our path, and those people can be an entrapment for our life. They can set you back years. You can just get into all kind of trouble and consequences with the wrong people in your life. If you are constantly in tune with this inner voice, it will give you certainty to people that come into your life that's there to wreak havoc. And even though some people or some things come into our life, sometimes these people or these things, they are necessary disruptions. They don't have to completely ruin your life. They don't have to completely take you off your path, but they can come into your life and be what I consider necessary disruptions to redefine your path. Things can come into your life, setbacks can happen to your life, so that no matter how jarring they are, they can be there to redirect you. And sometimes even the worst things that happen, sometimes even the things that we find they're devastating to our core being, those disruptions can still act as divine protection. Because if somehow you can quiet your mind and find a lesson in the recalibration stage, you'll see that once you're in alignment, it'll bring you a certain certainty, and it'll bring you a certain sense of clarity. If you want to understand or want to be able to walk in alignment with who you are, with your higher purpose, I invite you to do a few things so that you can start recalibrating your mind and course correcting where you are. The first thing that I would say is start with inner reflection and a sense of openness. You don't have to understand any prayers or any spiritual practices or any religious practices. You don't have to start with any of that. I am not teaching or pushing you to salvation or teaching you any kind of religious teachings. This is a universal practice of being spiritually grounded, which I talk about in my book, A Call to Divine Alignment and the Awakening of Your Higher Purpose. These are foundational spiritual truths and practices that you can live by as you move forward in your business and even in your life. Like I said, the first thing is to start with some sort of inner reflection. Start with an openness. Ask yourself, where are you in your life right now? Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself being? What do you feel like is missing? And after you ask yourself these questions, after you do some sort of inner checklist, inner reflection, you can quiet your mind and quiet your voice. And this is where you begin to become in tune with God. This is where you become in tune with what is your spirit man telling you. And the more you become in tune with that voice, the more you can trust that voice. And you can trust the leading of that voice. You can trust that this inner voice is not working against you, but this inner voice has your best interest at heart. In the quiet of this time that the divine will begin to meet you. It's in the quiet of this time is when you'll find clarity. It's in the quiet of this time where you can begin to learn how to trust that inner guidance and that inner intuition. And once you open yourself up to this sense of awareness, you open yourself up to an elevated state of gratitude. And it's in this state of being or state of consciousness where your heart and mind begin to recognize God even in the daily moments. And as small and simple as these steps are, it doesn't matter where you are in your life's progress. It doesn't matter if you don't even know how to pray, or it doesn't matter if you are a well-renowned preacher. At the end of the day, God can meet you right where you are, and you can continuously fine-tune your life's journey. You can continuously learn about God on a deeper level and learn yourself, learn your abilities and your trait, learn what you're here for, learn what your higher calling is, learn what the next phase of your life will be, learn the next chapter in your life. Again, we have evolving purposes. We're not here just for one thing and one thing only. We're here to do multiple things, a multitude of things. I hope that this brief lesson on divine alignment has given you some sense of clarity, given you some grounding in your spiritual awakening, and will help you on your next leg of your own soul journey. If you want greater and deeper level of teachings, you can always feel free to grab my book, subscribe to our channel so that you won't miss the next video that's coming down the pipeline. And as always, you'll see me in the next video.